It's not new. It's not new to us. And it's not new to you either. You've just had the luxury to forget. You've forgotten the children that were stolen from their families and sold at auction, sold as slaves. You've forgotten about the Indigenous children who were placed in the boarding schools, beaten, killed. You've forgotten about the orphan train movement that was hidden under the guise of the Children's Aid Society. And those children were sold. That eventually ushered in the child labor laws and also foster care. That's something I'm very familiar with. I'm a foster child. I was a foster child from age 3 to 18, and I'm not going to mince words. The fact is, it's illegal human and sex trafficking. That was my experience, and that's the experience of many children. And if you think otherwise, you are lying to yourselves. This isn't something new. Profiting off of children is not new. ICE is stealing children. Recently, they took another life. I was out there with my comrades, and one of their munitions hit me and exploded on me. It set my clothes on fire, and that's how I found out that I was pregnant. I was worried about the gas because it was really hard to breathe that night. It got through the filters in my gas mask. So I made an appointment with the doctor to see, what were the long-term effects, how was it going to affect my baby? And she told me that there was no research. The only research that they had was miscarriages from the women in Chile. And then she proceeded to do my ultrasound and told me that it was already too late. I was losing my baby. It was the Indigenous women from Standing Rock who stood by me and gave me a reason, or gave me a fight back to live. They too had experienced this at Standing Rock. The gases took their children too. I wanted to bring this up because I want you to be aware that this is America's past. This is the present, and I need you to help us break this vicious cycle so that this is not our future. Thank you.
My name is Lila Jane. I have not been arrested at ICE, but a person I admire a lot asked me to speak. I come from the Warm Springs and the Yakima tribes of eastern Oregon and Washington. I'm very nervous this morning, but I'm very grateful to be up here speaking with my aunties. They're incredibly strong Indigenous women, and I'm grateful that they want me to speak. I guess there are so many experiences as an Indigenous person, that, especially as a woman, that we get to deal with. There's generational trauma. My grandparents are boarding school survivors. My grandpa is a Vietnam veteran, and he was a brown one, so he has a lot of trauma from that. A lot of it is passed down because white people have been waging wars on us or forcing us to fight their wars for, at least in my family, like 7 to 10 generations back. We've been fighting the US government. Before, back in summer, there was a protest I was at here. It was some street north. I could recognize it by sight, but not by, I don't know the names. And one of my aunties was burning cedar, so that our ancestors would protect us and keep us strong. And the cops, this one man, a white man, went and stomped on it. The only reason that I was not arrested that day was there was a car in between me and my auntie, and I couldn't attack him for stepping on the medicine. This is not an isolated incident in Portland or in the police force of the United States as a whole. There are other times, like Angela said, they knock down our vigils, they kick down our candles. We have to bring super glue to glue the candles down and hope that they will stand long enough for the flame to actually go out. I'm from these lands, and I want to remind everybody, a lot of times people talk about the white supremacy history of this particular state as the past tense, but it is now. It's the history, but it is also current. I'm always protesting. It's hard being out there because my some amount of greats grandfather was hanged by the US government, and I have to go out there and know that these are the same people. And they could be descended from those same people who hanged my grandparents. And these people, they're white supremacists. This history of Klansmen, of Nazism in Oregon is not just a history, it is a present tense. The cops out there that are stomping on our cedar and that are calling our medicine, they're just calling our medicine manufactured drugs, not knowing what it is. They are Nazis. They are Klansmen. That's why they're so illiterate. And the Native practice resources of this land. So many people don't know even whose land we're standing on. After all these months of the Black Lives Matter protests, so many of the protests and vigils and events had land acknowledgements, and they still don't know because they don't care, because they're Klansmen. When I was asked to speak, I knew that I needed to come traditionally dressed, but I didn't know how because I cut my hair, because so many people have died. So many people have died at the hands of ICE, at the hands of the U.S. government, the hands of U.S. imperialism, at the hands of police brutality. And in our culture, we cut our hair when we mourn. And so I cut it off, finally, because there's so many people that I can't even think of it all. There's so many children, Indigenous children and Black children, who are attacked simply for existing. I'm barely not a child. I'm 20. And it's always so scary, but I know people always ask me, why are we there? We have no choice. I don't have a choice. Because no matter what I do, I could go missing. I could be murdered brutally. My body could never be found, or it could be found in pieces, like some of my aunts and grandmothers have been. Being brutalized by these evil white men will happen regardless of what I do. And that is the case for virtually everybody who is not white. Though I have not been arrested at ICE, I know most of the Indigenous people that I know have been. Usually for just standing. And even if we aren't just standing, you fucking hanged my grandfather. We have every right to be violent, but we are attacked, and we have to do things in a certain way, or we just don't exist anymore. If we aren't your version of peaceful, you won't listen to us. Indigenous people, we are ignored. We're invisible, except in police brutality, except to ICE. ICE sees us. ICE sees us more than all you fucking white people do. All of you non-ICE agents. Y'all don't ever see us. And this is why we're here. I am to Ted Wheeler and Kate Brown and everybody in Oregon and Washington and Idaho, because that's the lands I'm from, but also the entire United States and everybody. Us Indigenous people have been here since time immemorial. And even though you lock our children up in cages and you sterilize our women, and even though you kill us all, you can never erase us. And we will be here long after you and your vile ways have perished. do nothing. At this point, you do nothing for Black people. You do nothing for Indigenous people. You simply don't care about us. And if you think otherwise, then you need to join us and actually support us. I know here in Portland, Indigenous events, nobody shows up to them. I know because I've been to most of them, and there's no one ever is there. Honestly, the reason that the police force here are so intense is because the general white population is the exact same. A lot of you are white supremacists, and you need to change your ways. A lot of you don't even know what tribe I'm from. I'll say what tribe I'm from. People only know it because of Kanita, the resort. But you go on our lands and you go fish, and you go on our rivers, but you can't be bothered to know who we are. Speaking of rivers, the chemicals, ice, and from all the protests are seeping into the rivers. They're killing our salmon. Just another part of the U.S. government, they fucking put in dams along the Klamath River, the Columbia River, I'm sure other rivers, probably all of them. It's hard to learn about the dams. They wiped out Salado Falls. I don't know if I'll ever get to see that place. And our rivers, our salmon are already dying, and they're killing them more and more. And this doesn't just affect Indigenous people, but it affects us the most. And the lifeways, not just the salmon, but all the fish and the plants in the rivers are also dying. And the rivers themselves, their spirits are so dark, are so weak. You can just feel how weak the Willamette River is. It's not the river's fault. Ice is terrible. I can't even say all the words for how evil ice is. I can't say all the words for how evil this place is from the white people. Thank you for listening. It's the least you could do.
Hi everyone, my name is Raven and I'm from the Puerto Nation in Michoacan. So I have been setting up the vigils at ICE almost every single day for 2 weeks. And every single day the DHS officers stomp it down. I have seen them kick it down with my own eyes. They told me once that they never wanted to see it again. And I don't think that they realize that a lot of this stuff is really personal for us. And even though that we are indigenous to these lands, we are being deported every single day, and our families are being chased after by federal agents, and there are some days that you don't even know, you don't know if you can't get a hold of someone because they ran out of data or because they're not in this country anymore. And I think a lot of people wonder, why do we keep going to ICE? And that's why people are being attacked and killed And ICE is literally committing genocide as we speak, and enough is enough. I mean, I don't know how anyone could let this go on any longer and feel okay with that, because my people in Michoacan, we believe in being brave and humble, and this is something that cannot stand anymore. So, as we say in Michoacan, Jikari Onepuika, which means our strength, and I want us all to be strong in this fight against ICE, because whether they like it or not, ICE is going to be abolished.
Yate, good morning. I want to make another. I want to make another acknowledgement on the MMIW, the murdered and missing Indigenous women, also the trans and Two-Spirit. I want to do another quick moment of silence. Miigwech. My name is White Rabbit. I am Dakota Sand/Santee tribe. First of all, the reason what brought me here to Portland is Standing Rock. And I've been at the Red House for a few months now, and I was there during the raid. They took my eagle feather, and that eagle feather means a lot to me and my ancestors. I've done so many prayers with that eagle feather, and I could care less on all the materialism that I had. All I want is my eagle feather, and that is against the Indian Freedom Act, also the First Amendment. So I stand here why I'm speaking is what is going on at ICE. I've been almost there every day. Kids in cages, no, that is unacceptable in humanity, especially for Indigenous women to be disrespected. And for me being an Indigenous man, I feel really angry about that. Let's abolish ICE. Mini Wachoni, water is life.
I wasn't going to talk again, but then my auntie was like, do you want to talk again? And it's hard to say no when she asks me for things. But some points that I remember that I do want to bring up is when we abolish ICE, the fight still isn't over. People have been getting brutalized, deported, stolen from their homes before ICE was created. ICE is a new thing, but before ICE there was still immigration and police doing that work. So I want us to remember that, like, it's not just ICE, it goes beyond that, and it's been happening a long time. So when we abolish ICE, there is still work to do, because this government is sneaky, and they're gonna keep trying to steal people. Another thing I want to acknowledge is that I know a lot of people who immigrate, quote, illegally here aren't always like from Mexico. Like, the people come here from all different countries. But I do want to acknowledge that a lot of the people that ICE targets are BIPOC who do cross through the Mexican border. And a lot of people think that people are just lazy and they're coming here to steal jobs and they're just waltzing over the border like it's nothing. But I don't think people realize how dangerous it is to cross the border. The last time I went to Mexico, to my homelands, I talked with somebody who is a coyote. And if you don't know, a coyote, is a person who brings group of refugees, group of people across the border, because it's really hard to get across there. You have to walk miles and miles and miles. You can't bring your things with you. All you have is the backpack on your back. You don't have your family photos, you don't have all your clothes, you barely have room for enough food and water. All you bring is a bag on your back because you're walking for a few days, for hours, for days. And you can't really stop to sleep, because if you stop to sleep, you can be killed by the government, you can be killed by cartels, you can be killed by the actual coyotes that are out there in the desert. And people die all the time, maybe even every single day, trying to cross the border. There's no water out there. There's no gas stations you can stop and get snacks at. There's nothing. There is nothing. And when people go out there to leave bottles of water, Border Patrol comes and they literally pour out the water so that people will dehydrate and die. They would rather people die in the fucking desert than come here with nothing but the backpack. It's freaking hard, you guys, and a lot of these people who are coming up here really do believe that the United States has something to offer. And it's sad because it's all a facade. But these people are running from war that the United States government started in their countries. These people are running from poverty that the United States government started in their countries. These people are running from drug cartels that the United States started in their countries. These people are running from coups that the United States is behind. Like, it's freaking dangerous. It's dangerous. There's so much that they have to face, and so many people don't make it. They either die of dehydration, they die because they get lost, because you're just climbing, like you're just walking through the desert, you're walking through the mountains. They die because there's a lot of drug cartels that do work with the governments, the Mexican government and the United States government. And so when they're working with these governments, they do the government's dirty work because they can. And so they come out here and they kill, they literally murder these groups of people who are refugees. They're just looking for a safe place to live. That's it. That's all that these people want, is safety. And what does this country welcome them with? Cages. They separate their families. They poison them by cleaning these small rooms with these heavy chemicals with no ventilation. People are having nosebleeds, headaches, they're vomiting. They're literally being poisoned in these small rooms. They sterilize women. There's over 600 missing children under ICE custody. And people are saying that Biden is going to reunite families? How? With 600 missing children, how is Biden supposed to reunite families? And when he does, I don't know if you guys seen, but I recently saw a video of a mother being reunited with her children after they've been separated by ICE. And her 2-year-old son did not recognize her. And every time she tried to hold him, tried to pick him up, he pushed her away and he cried and he ran away from her. He did not recognize his own parents. And that kind of stuff, that's childhood trauma that is scarred in their minds. That's going to take years to fix. And that's just a little kid. Think about the older kids. Because the thing about these kids in cages, right, is you have the older kids. You have these 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds taking care of the 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds. That's something they have to carry with them for the rest of their lives. So let's say Biden does reunite families, which I doubt is going to happen. Let's say he does. That's still not enough. That's still not enough. They're going to carry that pain for generations, just like most of our grandparents have carried the pain of boarding schools for generations, just like our Black relatives have carried the pain of watching their grandmothers and grandfathers be filled with grief. Like, this isn't, when we abolish ICE, when we abolish the police, like, there's still going to be so much work to do, you guys. Like, you have no idea the pain that we carry, the amount of lives that we've lost. It's so fucking hard. And what's shitty is the United States has caused, like, all of these problems that are pushing people out of their homes, making them flee and look for safety. Like, I'm not
just saying that, like, I'm not just like everything is the United States' fault, but imperialism, hello. In my family's hometown, my family came up here because of poverty. My grandmother grew up without anything. She said that the richer Spaniard people stole all the things. Anytime they got shoes, they would steal her shoes. Anytime they got a shelter, they would knock down their shelters. My grandmother had to walk for miles without shoes until her feet bled to collect palm leaves, to make palm leaf mats, to sell them for like 2 pesos just to make enough money to feed herself and her brothers, because their parents were too elderly and too sick to be able to work to take care of them. My grandfather got cancer, and my family, because they were poor, they saved up all the money they could to get a treatment for this cancer, because there's no doctors near us. They would have to go to a completely different town to find a doctor. And my grandpa felt horrible because he was tired of seeing our family in pain. He was tired of seeing our family not have food, not have clothes, not have shelter. And so he told them not to get him help, to let him die, and to use that money so that half of my family could come up here and find something better, and later we would return with the rest of our family. The sad thing is we can never return to reunite with the rest of our family, and my family is probably going to be split for the rest of our lives because of borders, because of ICE, because of these bullshit laws. So it's really hard. Imagine how traumatized a lot of our relatives are that are in ICE detention centers. Not just the trauma from being in detention centers, but the trauma from their lives before that and the trauma that they were trying to escape. And every day I pray for those people, because sometimes I feel like that's all I can do. Every time I go out to protest, I put my life at risk, I put my family at risk, and I wonder if I'm gonna be next, if I'm gonna die, and everything that my grandfather sacrificed will be in vain. But keep fighting, keep healing, and keep praying. Keep being strong in yourself, strong and proud of your culture for all of our BIPOC folks. Keep fighting. It's fucking hard, but there's a reason the fight keeps going. Mi vida es la lucha, y la lucha sigue y sigue. Eso como así.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Yay Malinali, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on right now in these concentration camps in Tacoma. That's where the detention center is. This is where everybody gets taken to from this state. We've got the detention center in Eugene, and we have here one in McAdam. I want to just say, before I start discussing a little bit about that subject, on what happened to me just the other day. Unfortunately, I was also one of the Indigenous women who also got arrested. I was standing there, I was a peaceful protester, and unfortunately, the same thing happened to me. The traumatization that happens to us, Indigenous women and men and individuals, is something that not just only happens when we are getting detained, just by standing and trying to speak up for our communities. Unfortunately, we don't have no rights. Unfortunately, people are being kidnapped. Unfortunately, there is genocide being done. What is the first thing that is being done? Let's talk about these detention centers in Washington, and all I can say is this. I don't care what your beliefs are in organizations. Drop that. Think about what it's about. Unity here, community. Just go and stand up for what you believe in for the community. If you don't believe that kids in cages, just go stand out there. Take a sign. You don't need to be a part of anything, and if you do, link up with those organizations that you see that are active. I'm part of a lot of organizations. Sometimes you think I want to be out there. Yes, I do. Why? Because fortunately, I'm out here and I'm not in a cage. I am an anchor baby. That's what the fuck I was called. In 1981, I'm about to be 40 years old in April. And that's a gift that I give you my birthday. In the spring, my mother crossed as a refugee from El Salvador, Central America, refugee from a civil war that was created by this government. She fled with my sister, who at the time was 6 years old. She could have been one of them kids in them damn cages. Thank goodness that didn't happen, but that damn could have been so damn close if she'd even crossed that border. Unfortunately for her in Mexico, she got the love and she got everything she needed for me to continue to be in her womb. I was born a week later, 1981. In East Los Angeles, where I was raised, and I grew up in Compton, California, and Hollywood, California, in the worst hoods you could fucking imagine. This fucking riot here, that shit happen every motherfucking day. LA riots is in my motherfucking blood. Do you get that? I am now a double major. I have an accounting degree, I have a business degree, and I'm here to serve my community. I beat a whole bunch of statistics, and there's a whole bunch of fucking statistics that I couldn't fucking beat. And I'm blessed to be here in this city, and I'm here. When I came here, I never knew what I was gonna be facing. The same shit I fucking faced since I was a kid. Please be united. Please come and stand. Please use your privilege. Please. Anyone, if you're out and you're free, you're privileged. I don't care if you're houseless or not. And we are here to serve everyone. Our houseless community, anyone who needs our help. It's not just about the kids in cages. It's about everybody, because we can all end up in a motherfucking cage because it's a oppressed system. I just want to tell everybody that this rage that I have is because I was recently arrested at the ICE building. And the things that happen to a woman like me, to anyone who stands and just wants to say that they're against this type of oppression, this is what you're gonna get. But I'm so fortunate that this community is a united community and has supported me through this trauma. I have not been able to go through all of these decisions if it hadn't been for people who have already experienced this in another level, in the level that I had to face by just being a peaceful protester. In Tacoma right now, there's people that are starving. Why? Because the food is ridiculous. We got a freaking health department. We got people who are eating food that's rotten. They're purposely doing these things. People are dying in COVID in these detention centers. On top of the private prisons that are happening right now because of all this oppression. What about our youth? That is our future. I don't care what mistakes you have done. There's no reason for you to be stuck in a system that you will never be released, because this is like a merry-go-round. And I just want to say that we can all get off this merry-go-round if we're all together and we're all united. Support all the orgs. I don't care if you don't believe in everything they fucking do. Just support them. Because whatever they're doing is doing something that's making a difference. And if you're not going to do that, then get out of the way. Thank you. those words, I would just like to say that this press conference is over. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I love my community. Everyone who is here, thank you so much for the love. Let's make this city hall our city hall for real, though. Together.